Good evening. My name is William Watkins, Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students here at Cal State Northridge. And it is my honor to declare the opening of the California State University Northridge commencement ceremonies for the Mike Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication. I ask that you all now You've earned it. Now, I ask that you all now please rise and remain standing while the CSUN Jazz A Band, under the direction of Professor Michael Mull, plays the National Anthem, accompanied by Ali Roster and Delia Rodriguez.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets made gleam, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing the last star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Please be seated. How about another cheer for those vocalists, Ali Castor and Dalia Rodriguez? Celebrating this occasion with us today and seated on the platform are members of the President's extended cabinet. Also, for the College of Arts, Media, and Communication, we have Interim Dean Dan Hoskin, Special Assistant to the Dean, Julia Heinen, and Department Chairs, Edward Alfano from Art, John Stahl, Cinema and Television Arts, Catherine Sorrells, Communication Studies, Linda Bowen from Journalism, Rick Alviso from Music, and Gary Lennon from Theater. In addition, student trustee Jorge Reyes Salinas, faculty president Adam Swinson, Associated Students President Sevag Alexanian, CSUN alumnus Michael Ruvo, and Honorary Doctorate recipient William Griffith are joining us as special guests on the platform today. Also joining us in the audience are special guests Mr. Ralph Courtney and Mr. George Lease, members of the CSUN Foundation Board. Will all the members of the platform party please rise and receive recognition? Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to present to you our president, Dr. Diane Harrison.
Thank you, Vice President Watkins. And my thanks also to Professor Mike Mull, the Jazz A Band, and Ali and Dahlia for that beautiful performance of our national anthem. Good evening, everyone. As president of this university, it is my distinct honor to welcome you officially to the 2016-17 commencement ceremony for the 2016-17 graduates of California State University, Northridge, and the Michael Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication. So let me say, on behalf of our faculty and staff, I congratulate the graduates who are here with us this evening. As I stood here on the steps of the Oviatt just 1 year ago, it seemed as if we lived in a different world. While the landscape across the country has shifted, each of you here tonight who are graduating has demonstrated great perseverance. By pursuing and persisting, you have seen what you are capable of, but it is only the beginning. Your ability to persevere and the self-confidence it fosters will help you achieve your dreams and make a difference in our world. To promote positive change on issues of importance to you, I encourage you to use the skills that you have learned at CSUN, whether those skills are in critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, or empathy and compassion, including appreciating and respecting each other's perspectives and advocating for social justice. And remember, you are also graduating with the advantage of a CSUN education. Last month, we honored, as we do every year, our distinguished alumni, and we gave out awards to 3 alumni who serve as very powerful examples of the value of a CSUN degree and the impact it can have across diverse industries and sectors, shaping the region, California, the nation, and even beyond. One of those is a trailblazer in reality television, a graduate of the Mike Curb College, who brought American Idol to American television. The second is a financial wizard on Wall Street. And the third a female works in the aerospace industry, where outer space is truly her territory. And these are just 3 examples of literally thousands that show the many paths and the doors of opportunity available to you with a CSUN education. You have the knowledge and ability to succeed, and some of you may choose to forego completely what you're doing now and forge a new path in areas, disciplines, industry that we don't even imagine yet. CSUN graduates touch every sector, every field. They've made a significant mark on the world. Each and every one of you has that same potential to make a difference. But regardless of your path, as you move on to new opportunities, please promote inclusivity in your communities, as you did at CSUN. Stand against discrimination. Value and respect diversity and the common humanities shared by us all. Protect our environment and our natural resources. Appreciate science and discovery. Continue to use the knowledge that you've gained here to support tolerance and strive to understand other views. Our shared future depends on it. Your education here at CSUN has equipped you to do all of these things. Allow me now to thank our faculty and staff who are here today to share in the pride of your achievements. CSUN's faculty and staff have played a significant role in supporting your success both in and out of the classroom, and their efforts to advance student excellence, our understanding of the world through groundbreaking research, and the university's mission make them the heart of this institution. Can we please thank our faculty and staff? Much of your experience at CSUN was shaped by the generosity of those who came before you, by alumni who have supported scholarships, enhanced programs, and help improve the facilities you learned in each day. And this year, it was gratifying to know that over 6,000 of our 16-17 graduates proudly followed their example by contributing to the senior class gift, and we thank you for that. And finally, I want to acknowledge the incredible contributions of your families and friends, many of whom join us with us today in celebration. To the parents, brothers, sisters, families, friends, and loved ones, the university community and I thank you sincerely for entrusting the minds and the futures of your graduates to CSUN. We are privileged to have them as part of our CSUN family. Our graduates could not have succeeded without your guidance, your love, sacrifice, and encouragement. We are proud to salute you and ask that you now stand for a well-deserved round of applause. Families, friends, thank you. And now, join me please in congratulating our 2016-17 graduates early on. We'll do it many times. Congratulations to our graduates. The Mike Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication would like to give special recognition to those students who have demonstrated outstanding scholarship while at the university. These students may be identified by the honors medallions, cords, and sashes they are wearing. Will those students who are graduating with academic honors please rise and receive our applause? Thank you, and please be seated. I would also like to recognize our baccalaureate students who have successfully completed their degree in 4 years if they started as a freshman, or 2 years if they transfer to CSUN. These are our Matador Rising Scholars, and we are proud of your efforts and commend you on this achievement. Will our Matador Rising Scholar students please rise and let us give you applause. Congratulations, and please be seated. Now, this is important. Let me remind all of us that every single one of our graduates here today, whether you're an honors student, a Matador Rising Scholar, or those who are graduating regardless of how long it took you, regardless of your GPA, you got here, and all of you have achieved a lifelong milestone. Congratulations. Your families are proud, we are proud, and you should be so proud as well. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Dan Hoskin, Interim Dean of the College, to the podium to highlight 3 students who are deserving of additional recognition and who serve as examples of the excellence and extraordinary achievement that can be found among our accomplished student body.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harrison. Good evening. It is my great pleasure today to present 3 extraordinary students who deserve additional recognition. Students, please rise when I call your name and stay standing while I speak briefly about your accomplishments. First, Jasmine Orozco. Jasmine, yeah, right. When Jasmine arrived on campus, she says she was uncertain that this was the right place for her. However, she quickly discovered the value of learning from her peers and sought out resources on campus to help her succeed as a freshman in the General Education Honors Program. All right. These experiences during her freshman year taught her the value of connection with others on the pathway to success. By allowing herself to reach out to others for advice, she was building a foundation of support, allowing her to grow as an individual and inspiring her to become a peer mentor herself in the honors program. Her efforts to discover all that campus had to offer led her to Comm, the Center for Visual Communication, a student-run creative agency located in the art department. She found her working there an invaluable experience, offering her internship opportunities and learning experiences outside the classroom. It was her connection with Comm that gave her the confidence and courage to apply for a prestigious internship at Yahoo. In December, she was notified that she was selected out of hundreds of applicants from around the country. 4 years after arriving as an uncertain freshman, she came to the realization that our campus was exactly the place she was meant to be, and today graduates as an art major with a stellar GPA of 3.98. Congratulations, Jasmine. All right. Next, Anthony Regas. Anthony. All right. Anthony Regas already knew he wanted to be a major in the media composition program in the music department. Choosing this major was an easy one for him and supported his passions for film and music. Growing up watching award-winning films with spectacular music fueled his desire to be part of this artistic collaboration. During his own academic work, he discovered that a film composer must be able to produce their own music and be involved in every step of the creation process while fulfilling quick deadlines. During his time at CSUN, Anthony developed a sense of direction and a growing passion for the arts. The support Anthony received from his music professors was invaluable and shaped his attitude toward music, in addition to refining his musical technique and entrepreneurship. He excelled in his academic pursuits and achieved a GPA of 3.92. Being part of the CSUN music community also helped him overcome his shyness, learn to work cooperatively, and work diligently toward realizing his life's goals. The connections he's made with faculty, fellow students, and alumni have led to opportunities to compose, perform, record, mix, and edit music in the professional world. This summer, he'll start working for a music preparation company, copying and transferring music for some of Hollywood's biggest companies. Congratulations, Anthony. And last but not least, Hannah Pomerance. Hannah. Okay. Hannah's first transformative academic experience came, of all things, in an 8 a.m. class when a professor said, "We will begin with impromptu speaking, and you will create a 5-minute speech based on a quotation." Hannah's stomach churned when she thought of the prospect of public speaking, but her love of in-depth critical cultural work that she was doing in her other communication studies classes reminded her why she chose this major. And when a member of the Matador speech and debate team was brought in to demonstrate, she witnessed the magic happen. She saw somebody see the challenge before them and meet it with grace and poise. She too wanted to craft pieces of knowledge together into a beautiful speech, just as she had seen, and this was the catalyst for her to join the speech and debate team. While it was tempting for Hannah to be actively involved in campus, she was working not 1, not 2, but 3 jobs, in addition to being a full-time student. And she was determined to get straight A's. Adding something else was just for fun was just not an option. Nevertheless, after a professor urged her to attend the first meeting of the speech and debate team, she was hooked. Hannah went on to great success, qualifying for the national tournament in 3 different individual events. In the hours of preparation, and the competitions across the country, not only did she find something she was good at, but she found her purpose on campus and her voice in Manzanita Hall. She had found a family. Hannah was the Mike Curb College's Wolfson nominee, and we honor her today as the Mike Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication Dean Scholar of 2017, the top academic award of our college. Congratulations, Hannah.
The trustees of the California State University have the privilege to award honorary doctorates to persons deemed to have made extraordinary contributions to society. This year, CSUN recognizes a person worthy of this honor. The nomination was approved by the Board of Trustees and it is a great honor for us to present this degree at this ceremony. Mr. William Griffith, please come to the podium and be recognized for your many achievements. Mr. Griffith's citation will be read by George Reyes Salinas, who serves as a student trustee for the CSU and who will join me in the formal hooding.
Hi, everyone. As a trustee of the California State University, I'm pleased to share the citations for Mr. William C. Griffith. The citation notes that Mr. Griffith, one of the most respected financial journalists in the nation, and a prominent anchor and financial journalist with CNBC for over 25 years, exemplifies the university's aspiration for its diverse student body. An alumnus of CSUN, Mr. Griffith worked on air on the campus radio station and as a student earned a Golden Mike Award from the Radio and Television News Association of Southern California, the first ever awarded to CSUN. After graduation, he was on the production team that launched the Financial News Network, the first cable channel devoted to business news. With the new network, when the new network was purchased by NBC in 1991, Mr. Griffith joined their team and has anchored a number of programs, including Closing Bell, reporting on each day's trading at the New York Stock Exchange. Mr. Griffith is also a successful author who has written 4 books to date, including 2016's The Stranger in My Jeans, a memoir. Mr. Griffith continues to generously give back to the university. In addition to being a donor, he serves on CSUN's Foundation Board of Directors and the Foundation Board Membership Committee, and regularly participates in networking and mentoring activities for students at the university. In 2000, he received CSUN's Distinguished Alumni Award, the highest non-degree award granted by CSUN. It is now my pleasure to ask President Harrison to come forward to confer the honorary degree.
In recognition of his remarkable professional achievement, his extensive leadership and service to the community, and his exceptional support of the university, the Board of Trustees of the California State University and California State University Northridge are proud to confer upon William C. Griffith the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. I am pleased to present to you Dr. William C. Griffith, who will offer some brief remarks.
I heard that. By the way, call me Bill, okay? This William C., I don't know who that is. And by the way, what have we learned here, over here? When it's a day game, you don't get right field seats, okay? When President Harrison called me back in February to tell me that I would be receiving this incredible honor, I told her I was speechless. And she said, "You'd better not be because you have a speech to make, but make it short." So I will. You're welcome. But first, some heartfelt thanks. And I thank President Diane Harrison, Vice President of Advancement Ram Gonzalez, and the members of the faculty and staff here at CSUN who somehow saw fit to nominate me for this incredible honor, and the members of the CSU Board of Trustees who approved it. Just know how grateful I am, and I'm still speechless about it. And I share this very briefly with my family, to my brother Chuck and my sister-in-law Terrell, who came all the way from Atlanta to be here with us today for this. To my son Chad, my daughter Carly, I can only hope that you're half as proud of your old man as I am of you. But most of all, I share this with my bride of 35 years and fellow CSUN alum, because you see, I'm only half of a team, and Cindy creates the other half of that team. And without her, I would not be where I am today, and I certainly would not be standing up here tonight. So Cindy, I share this with you tonight. Thank you. Back in 2012, professional golfer Bubba Watson won the Masters. It's easily the most beloved golf tournament in all of sport. And after his victory, he was asked if it was a dream come true. And he said something I've never forgotten, and I wrote it down. He said, "My dreams never got this far." And today I understand what he's talking about. 43 years ago, in the summer of 1974, when I first set foot here on the campus at CSUN, it was right over there. I remember was walking up and I got my first look at the Oviatt library. It was less than a year old at that time. And I had one dream, one professional goal that I brought with me to CSUN, and that was to be a television news anchor. I see I have some future competition out there. I had that dream inspired by one man to be an anchorman, and no, it wasn't Will Ferrell. It was a man by the name of Tom Snyder. Now, those of you who are of a certain age, who lived in Los Angeles back in the 1970s, you will remember that Tom Snyder anchored at KNBC Channel 4, the 6 o'clock news. You had Jess Marlowe at 5, and a kid named Brokaw was anchoring the 11 o'clock news at the time. But Tom Snyder was the kingpin. And he went on to stardom in New York for NBC News. He hosted his own late night talk show called The Tomorrow Show that followed Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. Tom had a charisma that was contagious, and I wanted to be just like Tom. And so I came to CSUN with that goal in mind. And on my very first day of school, my first day of freshman classes, that Monday morning, the first class, it was around the corner in the engineering building, I had a Speech Communications 100 course. And who was my professor? Tom Snyder's wife, Mary Ann. What are the odds? You can be sure that I was teacher's pet that semester. Through Mary Ann, I got to meet my hero. I went down to the NBC studios in Burbank and I watched him tape an episode of The Tomorrow Show, and I was in heaven, as you can imagine. Now, fast forward 13 years to the fall of 1987. By then, I'm anchoring for the Financial News Network. And on Monday, October 19th, 1987, the stock market crashes like we had never seen it crash before. And I'm anchoring all day there at FNN. And during a commercial break, I get a message handed to me that Tom Snyder had just called, and he wanted me to be a guest on his show that night. Now, by this time, Tom had come back from New York. He was back in Los Angeles, and he was hosting a nightly radio show on the ABC radio network. And he wanted me to be his guest. I couldn't that night, I was kind of busy, but I went the next night. And there I was with my hero, and he's asking me the questions that he often asked his guests that I would watch or listen to every night. The next day, I get a call from ABC Radio in New York asking if I would be Tom's regular guest host on his radio show whenever he's on vacation. Now, whose idea do we think that was? So for the next 5 years, 5 weeks out of the year, I got to pretend that I was Tom Snyder. Fast forward one more time to the mid-1990s, another decade. By that time, I'm with my family living on the East Coast, anchoring for CNBC, and Tom comes to work for CNBC, anchoring and hosting a nightly talk show with celebrities. And one night, President Bill Clinton was delivering his State of the Union address, and the network assigned me to co-anchor the network's coverage of the speech that night. Who do you think was my co-anchor that night? For one night only, I got to be an equal. I sat side by side with my hero, and we anchored together for one evening. Now, folks, I owe all of that to CSUN. Make no mistake, none of that would have happened if I had not gone to school here. Yes, I know you're very excited. I am too. But wait, I was going to make espresso. There are other stories I could tell, but I'm going to keep it brief here for you. It's funny, I was like this 37 years ago too when we were here. I have one recommendation for you folks who are graduating today. Yep.
Students, graduates, we want to hear from our honoree. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watkins. All right, I'm going to close with one bit of recommendation for the graduates here tonight, and that is very simple. Join the Alumni Association. Now, I have heard that already more than 6,000 of this year's graduating class has done just that, which is fantastic, but what about the rest of you? Now, relax. They don't want your money. You don't have any money to begin with. That is, you don't yet. But here's what the association can do for you. Today, you leave here with a diploma and a dream, and your fellow CSUN alums can help you achieve that dream. I mean, think of all the successful people who have graduated from here. You think of them as an opportunity. And when I guarantee, if they see a resume cross their desk and they're hiring, and that resume is from a CSUN grad, that will get their attention. It doesn't guarantee the job, you have to earn that, but at least you've made the connection. Successful careers, especially in our business, folks, happen because of strong personal relationships with the right people. And those relationships start with valuable connections. And valuable connections can happen right here at home, sometimes even on the first day of class. I congratulate all of our graduates for 2016 and 2017. I wish you the best of luck on your careers. Hopefully we can all be like Bubba Watson. His dreams were exceeded when he got a master's. My dreams are exceeded today with a doctorate. Thank you very much.
I forgot to give him the diploma. Here, let's get right here. Sorry about that. So thank you, Dr. Bill. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. E. Lee, Provost, who will now present the candidates for the master's degrees.
Thank you, President Harrison. Will all candidates for the master's degree please rise? President Harrison, from the Michael Curb College of Arts, Media and Communication, I present the candidates for Master of Arts in Art, Master of Arts in Communication Studies, Master of Arts in Mass Communication, Master of Arts in Music Industry Administration, Master of Arts in Theater Arts, Master of Fine Arts in Art, Master of Fine Arts in Screenwriting, and the Master of Music. These candidates have completed the requirements for the master's degree as prescribed by the State of California and the Trustees of California State University. And they have been recommended by the faculty of California State University, Northridge. Candidates, please continue standing as President Harrison confers master's degree upon you.
Thank you. Upon the recommendation of the faculty of California State University, Northridge, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Art, Master of Arts in Communication Studies, Master of Arts in Mass Communication, Master of Arts in Music Industry Administration, Master of Arts in Theater Arts, Master of Fine Arts in Arts, Master of Fine Arts in Screenwriting, and the Master of Music, with all of the rights, the honors, and the responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations, and please be seated. At this time, I will ask Dr. Dan Hoskin, Interim Dean of the Mike Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication, to now present the candidates for the baccalaureate degree.
There are 6 disciplines represented by the graduates in this ceremony today. They are from the departments of Art, Cinema and Television Arts, Communication Studies, Journalism, Music, and Theater. Will all the candidates for the baccalaureate degree from the Mike Curb College of Arts, Media, and Communication please rise and remain standing? All candidates for the bachelor's degree rise and remain standing. President Harrison, I have the honor of presenting to you the undergraduate class of 2017. These candidates have completed the requirements for the baccalaureate degree as prescribed by the State of California and the trustees of the California State University, and they have been recommended for their degrees by the faculty of California State University, Northridge.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of California State University, Northridge, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Art, Bachelor of Arts in Cinema and Television Arts, Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Journalism, Bachelor of Arts in Music, Bachelor of Arts in Theater Arts, and the Bachelor of Music, with all of the rights, the honors, and the opportunities pertaining thereto. Congratulations, and please be seated.
Members of the platform party and the department chairs will now offer congratulations to our degree recipients. I ask that the degree recipients please move to the platform as directed by the marshals. Please come forward as your name is read. You will be congratulated by a member of the platform party and receive your diploma cover and certificate. Afterward, please return to your seats as directed by the marshals, commencement staff, and ushers. I ask that guests please help so that we may proceed in an orderly manner. We remind you that the aisles must be kept open and you're asked to stay in your seats until the end of the ceremony. Out of respect for our graduates and the safety of our guests, noisemakers are not permitted. Finally, and again out of respect for your fellow graduates, all graduates must remain throughout the entire ceremony until all degree recipients have been recognized.
Now reading names for the Department of Cinema and Television Arts. Serge Buchanan, Julian Monk, Liza Allen, Miguel Velasco, Monica Sweeney, Caitlin First, Victoria Lintz, Sarahi Sanchez, Christian Higuera, Talia Lawson, Marco Antonio Garcia Hernandez, Christopher Russell, Braden Twigo, Lionel Munguia, Rushad Alton, Amanda Dursey, Alpern Turnyakian, Jessica Cruz, Olivia Roberts, Nico Ren, Shui Lu, Stella Stefanchuk, Kweku Ansa,
Jordan Haro, Vicky Solorio, Desiree Vanessa Castro, Jasmine P. Luna, Karen Tolliver, Maria Alejandra Castro, Cameron Stell, Jacob Graham, Kevin Craig, Gabrielle Chacon, Jeremy Pear, Kimberly Mason, Sean Boring, Miguel Uranga, Samuel Diaz, Yohan Cifuentes, Devin DeLuel, Zane Foster, Hishan Zhang, Daniel Enrique Bonilla, Alexander Hogard, Adam Maskey,
Is it Andrea? I think
Andrea Ariano, Eric Zuniga, Christina Chung, Francis Tull, Kalia Amante, Marissa Avitia, Emmanuel Maya, Chloe Rodriguez, Madeline Magani, Junko Tagagi, Travis Foster, Angela West, Gwendolyn Bloom, Marissa Aldana, Maria Maldonado,
Luis Mata, Manette Ige Babagulu, Robbie Snader, Justin Chambers, Oscar Ramos. Manraj Bari. Christian Rodriguez. Christopher Weiss. Jordan Schultz. Tamara Illich. Adrian Ortiz. David Adam Edigi. Brittany Platt. Philip Robert Thompson. Mark Carlos Toledo. Asma Awad. Zachary Fuqua. Samuel Barron. Casey Tong. Maximus Spector. Deanna Spinali. Kelly Spicer. Jacob Staley. Elisandro Gonzalez. Anthony Becerra. David Gomez. Ernesto Cavalos Jr. Aaron Minderhout. Justin Washington. Crystal Hill. Jen Romeo. Mario Apara. Jessica Parker. Walker Crawford. Brianna Casey Ford. Miguel Compones. Diane Durazo. Samantha Hughes. Joshua Berman. James Shee. Caillou Mangan. Edward Hamill. What is it? Danas Bardwell. David Barton. Aaron Vaccaro.
What's your last name? Kanganis.
Charles Kanganis. Tim Aguirre. Ebner de Torres. Ben Bernstein. Alexandra Smith. Emily Belen Morales. Jasmine Brown.
Christian Streety. Zach Tony.
Okay, Goretti.
Nadia Goretti.
Okay, Ruby Sellis.
Ernesto Rubicelis. Jaime Lopez. Bianca Renata Medi. Marina Quinones. Kimberly Montez. Sean Allen. Janelle Reitzel. Nathan Napoleon Anderson Jr. Jose Perez. Lucci Large.
Okay, Limon.
Tevin Limon.
Okay, what's your last name?
Alex Mimron. Terrence Bynum.
Torshawn.
Nick Torshawn. Penelope Orp.
Benedetti.
Matt Benedetti. Alan Singleton.
Top line.
Sean Adams.
Schaefer.
Charles Schaefer. Kyle Benson. Vanessa Dennis. Danny Ramft.
Jimmy.
Michael Ajemian.
Okay, what's your last name, honey?
Joshua Kuna.
Tiago. Okay, Yu Tang Zhu.
Tiago Souza Bajero.
Yu Tang Zhu.
Yutang Shu.
Okay,
Leanne Liu.
Guo. Zitian Guo.
Zitian Guo. Jinyang Zhang.
Wellendorf.
Andrew Wellendorf.
Duran.
Jose Duran.
Okay, Basley.
Ori Basley.
Fencer.
Mallory Fensel.
Okay, Fonseca.
Joshua Eric Fonseca.
Opperly.
Jake David Opperly.
Emily Dawn Beal.
Emily Dawn Beal.
Brian Scott Ewing.
Brian Scott Ewing.
Chrysostom.
Chrysostom Macareg.
Belkis.
Belkis Rojas.
De Uba.
Amber De Oa.
Bordado.
Yesica Gugardado. Yvonne Ontiveros.
Choi.
Michael Choi.
Huh? Novel.
Naval Bardwaj.
Emily Tomp.
Emily Tompt. Cynthia Rojas. Josue Carrillo Rodriguez.
Paro.
Stephen Paro. Shauna Baca. Gino Monaco. Jennifer Reyes. Cynthia Rios.
Susan Skinner. Brianna Allen. Guadalupe Esmeralda Talamantes. Ethan Swoboda. Diana Pinto. Michael Fleming. Rachel Howery. Daniela Lopez. Lindsay Andrea Arellano. Eva Cohen. Stephanie Peterson. Myra Hernandez. Luisa Flores. Daniel Keaton. Eric Wall. Sakib Rahman. Alan Jorge Castilla Onya. Paula Eri Garcia. Michael Shamali. Case of Volabrat. Alejandro Beltran. Nathaniel Ramirez. Luke Harrison. Sean Lee. Jessica Laura Drake. Amanda Nieto. Ellen Mulvihill. Michael McKeon. Weston Simpson. Sydney Camille Barfield. Mitchell Granice. William Gordon Hale. Kiara Ochoa.
Benjamin Ramirez. Sachi Masuda. Kyle Coram. Joshua James Forbes. Johnny Nava. Grant Sakura Friesen. Dana Smith. Joel Melchor. Fernando Ion. Cyrene Bartolome. Connor Gilmore. Jesus Pinedo. Oscar Medina. Neri Lemus. Sebastian Columbine. Gregory James Anderson. Brian Gobity. Ming Xiao Shao. Andy Shen. Rebecca Ryden. Haley Stafford. Alvaro Lopez. Casey Schock. Jonathan Suarez. Michael Priya. Justin Sarcino. Evan Austin Ball. Christopher Sankey. Jessica Freund. Sydney Dieter. Michael Anthony Telemantes. Stevie Ward. Jeffrey Luis Perez de Leon. John Darren. Cody Dobbins. Maxwell Walter. Marvin Dwayne Arthur Jr. Tyler Galbraith. Isabel Mackay. Gregory Griffith. Sam Angelo Parazzo. Brian Vasquez. Gage Vernon.
Top line.
Hunter Thomas Lewis Bolding.
Barker.
Aria Barker.
Corral. Okay, Cynthia Corral Escamilla.
Cynthia Corral Escamilla.
Okay, did you
Okay.
get
Letitia Harijaja.
Gargan?
Thomas Barragan.
June Tarashai.
Brian Juntarashine.
Okay, and that's what Allison Milan Katzpa.
Allison Milan Katswa. Erica Flores.
Borgujan.
Ellis Borgujan. Itzel Arivalo. Mercedes Bryant. Amy Zapata.
Farravon Kua? Ferrarin.
Lee Ferrarin Kua.
Okay, Dahlia. Okay.
Dahlia Victoria Herrera.
Noemi.
Daisy Noemi Perez.
Okay, LaBelle.
Deanne Cortez.
Okay, say your last name.
Jessica LaBelle.
Aksha Nimurata.
Aksha Nimurata.
Arcelia Martinez.
Arcelia Martinez. Christopher Ariana. Lauren Sarino.
Prakesh Prujipati.
Joshua Cresci.
Joshua Crushy.
Jackson Delatorre.
Jackson De La Torre.
Search.
Scott Search. Taylor Jones.
Ian.
Gressel Guillen.
Polito.
Ernesto Cruz Pulido.
Emmett Beecham.
Emmett Beecham. Stephanie Salazar Leon.
Muro.
Fernando Muro.
Santiago.
Erica Santiago.
Villasenor.
Alejandro Villaseñor.
Giovanna.
Giovanna Viena Celis.
Moises.
Moises Cervantes.
Dimas.
Dimas Corona.
Goins.
Nicole Goins.
Witana Garsus.
Witana Garsus.
Tisha Williams.
Keisha Williams.
Say it. Say it.
Olukayo de Lowell.
Damon Lamar.
Damon Lamar Christie.
Sykes.
Nolan Sykes. Isaac Miller. Mialani Lowe. Diana Rodriguez. Lynette Hartuni.
Makar.
Makar. Marla Makar. Lucas Torres del Boca.
Karen Johnian.
Andy Karagajian.
Basil.
Nicholas Basil.
Margolis.
Matthew Jacob Margolis. Blair Windett. Melody Jane Holden.
Danielle.
Danielle Cohen. Emma Elam.
Kohlerbaum.
Elise Kohlerbaum.
Poor.
Lindsay Poole. Jocelyn Gomez.
Angela.
Angela Alfaro.
Castagnon.
Tess Castillon.
Becerra.
Jennifer Becerra.
Bante.
Joshua Bante.
Ibarra.
Martin Ibarra.
Grimes.
Thomas Michael Grimes.
Jared Booth.
Jared Booth. Jake Heitman.
Lyons.
David V. Lyons. Joshua Escobar. Ricardo Garcia.
Tawny.
Tawny Luna.
Kiana, pronounce your last name?
Kiana Calderone. Zach Vicente.
Anaya.
Hector Anaya.
Fan.
Johnny Fan.
Law.
Nathan Law.
Laura. Cara.
Cara Forbes. Maylin Abigail Catalan.
Liliana Tapia.
Liliana Tapia.
Sarah Roller.
Sarah Roller.
Waiting for the card. Aguda Hernandez. Okay. Christopher Aguda Hernandez. Martin Gabriel Matreo.
Joshua Todd.
Joshua Todd. Andrew Tristan Martin.
Kim.
Anthony David Kim.
Yamazaki Sweeney.
Koto Yamazaki Sweeney. Justin Flores.
Cedric Ross.
Cedric Ross.
Top line.
Matthew Beavers.
Okay, Chung.
Alexander Chung.
Buraya.
Stefania Buraya.
Okay,
Monica Vera.
Jamila Dubé. Oh, Jamila Dubé.
Jamila Dubuque. Mitchell Harris Teague. Shelly Francisco.
Top line.
Linda Rodriguez. Alexandra Perez.
Lomeli. Gonzalo Lomeli.
Gonzalo Lomeli Olvera.
Sandra Haywood.
Sandra Haywood.
Okay, Ryan.
Ryan Smith.
Okay, Marcus.
Luis Marquez. Melvin Hernandez.
Not a top line.
Renata Hernandez. Jesus Alfonso Canal. Eduardo Laguna.
And it's Gabi. Godoy. Oh, Godoy.
Elisa Victoria Godoy Perez. Kevin John Rios.
Naru.
Laura Desiree Namaru. Philip Lee.
Okay, and it's Stimac.
Arnold Diaz.
Stimich.
Joseph Stimich.
Okay, bottom.
Than Hai Du.
Okay,
Michelle
Michelle Tin.
Tin.
Pellegrino.
Carmen Pellegrino. Now reading the names for the Department of Journalism. Isabella Tajada.
Breon Johnson.
Breon Johnson. Yesenia Burgara.
Marin.
Cynthia Marin. Noemi Salcedo. Glory Rose Cruz.
Audrea.
Audria Pittman.
Okay, top line.
Julia Hernandez.
Hickman.
Nathan Hickling.
Okay, Arevalo.
Stacy Aravalo.
Miss Carva.
Kayla Vizcara. Natalie Jimenez.
Is it Bracho? Shelby Bracho.
Alyssa Hoekstra.
Alyssa Hoekstra.
Stas Viano.
Stephanie Staziano.
Celine.
Celine Zavala. Lexi Avalos Wilson. Katarina Christophs. Julie Espinoza. Angeli Marie Levis. Lexi Smith.
Roman.
Jocelyn Roman.
Hernandez.
Evelyn Hernandez. Annabelle Alma. Alma del Carmen Gonzalez. Sandra Gonzalez.
Bengus. Tohar Bengus.
Tohar Bengus. Vivian Nguyen.
Michael Shenna.
Michael Shanna.
Winnie Chen.
Winnie Chen. Brenda Mendez. Cara Ruiz. Summer Wan.
Carolina Blanco.
Carolina Blanco.
Bermundez.
Jessica Bermundez.
Kazarabadi.
Justin Kazarlabadi. Dorian Alexandra Gomez.
Joshua Spidell.
Joshua Spidell. Harrison Katz. Eduardo Miranda.
Luis.
Luis Roberto Saucedo Jr.
Bottom.
Jenna Gold.
Zerunian.
Max Zerunian.
Nazarian.
Tanya Nazarian.
LaRue.
Ashley LaRue.
Bottom.
Ushma Amin. Kate Haggard. Angel Johnson.
Pronounce your first name? Celestina.
Segastina. Segastina Hunter.
Bertolotti.
Morgan Bertolotti.
Wiley.
Jennifer Wiley.
Bottom.
Ellen Sujin Choi.
Parmentier.
Danielle Parmentier.
Pronounce your first name?
Bridget Raxon.
Nesbitt.
Julie Nesbitt.
Zaida Diaz.
Zaida Diaz. Trevor Edwards.
Andre.
Michelle Condre. Katie Elenek. Caitlin Beber.
Pronounce your last name? Melkonian.
Nina Melkonian. Daniel Robles.
Navarez. Jasmine Navarez.
Jasmine Navarez.
Nino.
Andrew Nino.
Pronounce your last name? Mancini. Okay, thanks.
Ryan Mancini.
Your last name?
Serafina Malupe. Alexandra Razzo.
Vanessa Signs. Luis Enrique Garcia. Katie Mayer. Andrew Escobar.
Okay,
Jocelyn Abigail Rivas. Frankie Benkovich. Michelle Gomez. Alexi Chibachian. Thomas Gallegos. Jasmine Barrios. Daniel Razzo. Cassandra Rodriguez. Justin Porras. Lucas Talbot. Josie Chavez. Helen Cha. Kialani Sarmiento. Nicholas Torres. Samantha Schenkel. Cheyenne Conaway. Justin Stiles. Shayna Sobel. Jacqueline Wowie. Paulina Negrete. Anna Stonick. Eric Sklar. Jordan Williams. Eric Kabak. Sierra Wieters. Heidi Weinrich. Alan Medina. Alfredo Perez. Michael Ramirez. Martin Torres. Alexis Joylyn Liggins. Nicole Marie Marshall.
Alyssa Brooke. Rivette Sorrow. Claire Gallagher.
Pronounce your own name.
Ibrahim Al Sultan. Stina Helen.
Brockle.
Bianca Ruiz Braco. Walid Rahman.
Bottom.
Chi Wei.
Pronounce your last name.
Mega Borjani.
Pronounce your last name.
Madonna Azimi Kazemi.
Heron.
Jarvis Heron.
Goodman.
Andrew Goodman.
Serrano.
Michael Serrano.
Pronounce your first name. Arnulfo.
Arnulfo Romero.
Pendleton. Congratulations.
Danielle Pendleton.
Gracia.
Gracia Lopez.
Last name. Linares.
Christopher Lunares.
Pronounce your last name. Andrade.
Brian Andrade.
Dieguez.
Alicia Diegas.
Abril Preciado.
Abril Preciado Ramirez.
Delmi Moran Arias.
Delmi Moran Arias.
Bottom.
Lisa Cho.
Angelica Tapia.
Angelica Tapia.
Very good, thanks. Ibarra.
Leonardo Ibarra.
Pronounce your last name. Say it again. Landaverde.
Kelly Logdaverde. Tana Cervantes.
Oriana.
Audrey Arellano.
Jessica Herrera.
Jessica Herrera. Dennis Lara Mejia.
Hogikian.
Caroline Hogikian. Kendall Faulkner. Joshua Aguilar. James Fike.
Pronounce your last name. Yakowitz.
David Yakowitz. Blaze Semama. Diego Marquez.
Spallone.
Robert Spallone. Melis Artiaga. Lynn Rosada.
Anthony Martinez. Ariana Takis. Monique Cisneros. Santiago Spidler.
Andrea or Andrea?
Andrea Yarlitz. Lily Perez Ramos. Joanna Ramos. Eli Alex George. Christine Dizon. Lorena Salinas. Lauren McCune. Tyler Irvin. David Kano. Ariana Duenas. Savannah Hijaz. Angela Hoffman. Crystal Matoyer Allen. Aaliyah Israel. Dejanay Howard. Mercedes Mayers. Young Kyung Kim. Giovanni Garcia. Angelica Campa. Natalie Ramirez. Leandra Ito. Ann Lim. Michelle Angela Rodriguez. America Garza. Morgan Spadone. Brandon Haragi. Amanda Ludman. Kritzia Portugal. Asia Brevard. Jessica Elias. Say it again. Robiel Tesfa Michael. Dana Lights. Gabriela Ortega. Stephanie Bedoya. Kayla Akil.
Jasmine Alexander. Fernando Moro.
Aborto.
Fanny Aburto.
Okay.
Laura Mendez.
Okay.
Stephanie Anderson.
Holding. Pronounce your last name? Jardot.
Ron Jardot.
Megan McCarthy.
Megan McCarthy.
Lycus.
Eric. What is it? Eric Anthony Lycus. Donna Lugo. Now reading names for the Department of Theater. Brett Copeland.
Shalane.
Donald Shalene Jr. Allison Marie Auken Martinez.
Aaron.
Aaron Matthews.
Say your last name? Alcaraz Sainz.
Carol Alcaraz Sainz.
Fatima.
Fatima Martinez.
Okay.
Jennifer Hernandez. Anne Marie Vasquez Barrios. Alejandra Hilario.
Kaufman.
Tess Kaufman. Sarah Bosch. Brandy Martin.
Pronounce your last name?
Brianna Ruggieri.
Dejanay.
Dejanay Scott.
Okay.
Loretta Amanda Mendez.
Obileye.
Kola Obileye. Stella Lee.
Pronounce your last name?
Shreen.
Shalim.
Alexandra Shalim.
Sorry. Cephas?
Tilmun Sipus Amos IV.
Shandling.
Frank Shandling.
Pronounce your first name?
Helene Del Negro. Taylor Ford. Sharon Garland. Danielle Weiss. Ethan Hollander.
Pronounce your first name?
Mauricio Navarro. Matthew Kessner. Rita Cannon. Rhett Gamlin. Reiki Suzuki. Jason Small. Taylor Dunn.
Pronounce your last name?
Benjamin Birmingham. Eric White. Sarah Klein.
Okay, that's good.
Josh Cooper. Julia Alex Ober.
Okay.
Karina Ann Gomez. Corazon Montaño.
Mejia.
Samantha Mejia. Giselle Vega.
Aguila. Aguila.
Wendy Aguila.
Aviles.
Cole Aviles. Samuel Amilcar Cubaspino.
Tanus.
Zachary Tanus. Natalie Morales. Cynthia Johnson.
Pronounce your last name?
Michaela Escarcega. Avery Rodriguez.
Destiny.
Destiny Ann Vickers.
Last name? DeGiorgio.
Caitlin DeGiorgio.
Menjivar.
Tyler Menjivar. Candy Yee.
Saeed.
Fatima Saeed.
Bottom.
Arash Sebaran.
Top.
Nathaniel Paul Culpepper.
Eballer. Eballer.
Chrissy Annie Baller.
Chris Whitman.
Chris Whitmarsh. Now reading names for the Department of Cinema and Television Arts.
Toscani Nagano.
Toshkani Nagano. Damon Lee Ball. Hunter Maverick Wells.
Top.
Joshua Nadine.
Colin.
Colin Markey.
Dylan.
Dylan Huang.
Zohar Uzihalos. Jessica Amesqua. William Lander. Anuil Cervanos. Yulin Fu. Jansu Tupalugu. Brenda Ahanel. Glacida Maurice Magaling. Marcus Nielsen Holding. Maurice Paget. Min Young Kim. Lyance Haggerty. Joshua Rader. Brendan Mallory. Amber Polson. Philip F. Distant Jr. Ivan Lanick. Ray Castillo. Yuna Hori. James Castellanos. Edna Akihe. Alice Burrell. Antoinique Taylor. Michael Lopez. Lila Kalulu. Ali Salam. Douglas Jensen. Irvin Daniel Cruz. Priscilla LaShawn. Garen Tanelian. Gohar Gregorian. Lorena Nolasco. Say your last name. Sadi Karabathala Gala. Shayla Brown.
Okay, Robert Joseph, what is it? Now reading names for the Department of Communication students. Robert Joseph Lavide III. Hannah Carter. Nora Sepulveda. Renee Gollins. Mariana Galagian. William Bose. Jenna Losey. Angelica Valaton. Christian John Vidare. VJ Dustin Rhodes. Gija Weston Rhodes. Nicolette Simonovich. Adam Jinkala. Taylor Dawson. Tiffany Chen. Swoop Thomas. Yuri Matsumoto. Jian Koch. Stephanie Nagriff. Louis Pancati III. Richard J. Panilio Quiocho Jr. Madeline Rose Liepart. Melanie Taloyan. Paola Di Brienza. Sabrina Brumenden. Fernanda de Oliveira. Nicole Lee. Samantha Elizabeth Sanchez. Steve Menjivar. Juan Atta Romero. Myra Alexa Perez. Vanessa Lauren Shaw. Tara Klebenstein. Jacqueline Kasike. Mike Kacharian. Stephen Resendez. Sydney Quinn. Raquel Ortiz. Adir Bitran. John Burns. Blair Friley. Jorge Espinosa. Luis Angel Nunez Velasco.
Giancarlo Rubio.
Nawaf Alawad?
Narwaf Alawad.
Okay, is it, what is his name? Daniel Hoffman.
Daniel Hoffneck.
Sean Reyna.
Ishan Reyna.
Viella.
Giselle Viella. Schaffner Carrillo. Cheyenne Stokes.
Melissa Cohen.
Melissa Cohen.
Top line.
Shelby Block.
What's your last name? Averett.
Kira Giovanna Averett. Reina Cortez. Shannon Lawson. Rihanna Paul.
Eliyahu.
Bobby Eliyahu.
Oganessian.
Anita Oganessian.
Amina? No, it's the last name is Bidzan.
Emina Bidzan.
Malihi.
Pia Malihi.
Labam.
Ashley LeBaum. Jordan Bell. Deanna Michelle Lara. Bianca Sanchez. Joanna Esmeralda Guzman. Catherine Alicia Ramirez. Georgette Genevieve Guevara. Helena Camacho Rodriguez. Jessica Saldivar. Christina Varela. Iman Shamiri. Sean Sines. Jessica Adelina Martinez. Lily Gregorian. Kevin Scanlon. Daniel Alfonso. Roderick Anthony Perez. Demetrius Gregory Hill. Kurt Fenstan. Allison Eilhart. Patrick Shalanda. Christopher Emmerich. Whitney Victoria Middleton. Eric Castellanos. Ulysses Lara. Carlos Medina. Sonia Maline. Jaime Luna. Craig Williams. Lillian Hartunian. Nada Ilari. Bryant Garcia. Denise Uribe. Jessica Mata. Hector Torres. Alexandria Pham. Elizabeth Perez Manares. Christopher Cruz. Erica Brittany Morris. Catherine Desposado Boykin. Angel Lozoya. Sarah Santos. Ryan Aranez. Avery Rivera. Josephine Kachu. Nicole Hensch. Edith Casas. Peter Karaganis. Jason J. Gonzalez. Anais Gracemonian. Taylor Nguyen. Vincent Ha. Ambria Dean. Carolina Dorado. Julia Munoz. Jessica Rodriguez. Coral Stewart. Jonathan Miguel Vasquez. Alexander Salazar. Estefania Solerio. Maureen Noesca Loria. Kristen Yanokian. Lila Sopenhena. Paige Nicolette McFerrin. Rihanna Jean Nelson.
Grid von Pionsupska. Ashley Nicole Martinez. Alana Delores. Jessica Ramirez. Ashkea Sekar. Yosef Hashem. Sasha Gomez. Vivian Shamon. Diana Kadzantian. Marvin Giovanni Sentes. Sydney Morrow. Alexandra Sorrentino. Alexis Marie Salas. Robin Danelle Lopez. Zachary Walk. Fiarita Adabi. Talin Avakian. Nicolette Maroshek. Shelyn Cox. Ashlyn Nicole Gonzaga. Cynthia Elizabeth Zuniga. Sarai Aracela Vasquez Pinal. Corey J. Sims. Martin Pineda. Noel Haro. Zakia Webster. Ebony Jocelyn Sanders. Barbara Walther. See you so. Sophia Zorni. Tara Klieger. Christopher Anaya. Pablo Morata. Adam Slater. Feng Zulu. Marjan Mavari. Kristen Teresa Varda. Nazia Norde. Natalie Wright. Joshua Nathan. Benjamin Nostrand. Malene Vahanyan. Arsene Sarkisian. Victoria Malbandian. Theron Toroyan. Kalon Ward. Patrick Flanig. Melinda Ebrahimini. Jessica Jeanette Ariola. Victoria Villaseñor. Jonathan Hernandez. Amanda Bitu Tekli. Veronica Odetunde. Andrea Santana. Michelle Torres. Hannah Pomerance. Terrell Penkney.
Anaya Chong Prastarek.
Is it known?
David Norris.
Kennedy?
Kennedy Sarah Rose Weston. Naja Davy. Leslie Barajas. Brian Tin. Maria Avidia. Melissa Ford. Olivia Reyes Cantwell. JP De Jesus. Noelle Ramirez. Erica Perez. Marissa Garcia. Jessica Masick. Lupe Santariaga. Alexandra Chandler. Grace Ann Moe. Danielle Deanda. Melody Hodad. Simona McTotter. Bianca Gabriela Baker.
I missed this one.
Fengian Gia. Rakgu Lee. Yumi Kim. Jocelyn Kuhn. Shin Yu Chen. Say it again. Michelle Factelcotter. Alexandra Colonna. Brady Moore.
Okay, what's your first name? R.E.A. Thomas.
R.E.A. Thomas. Marianne Dinglausen. Christian Rubalcaba. Jaime Pedromo. Kayla Gottmatan. Shelby Littrove. Shannon Ashford. Christy Caniste. Nicole Coutreau. Blake Bono. Lucine Delatian. Anna Stephanie Murillo. Alex Coles. Samuel Cortez. Sophia Begg. Kevin Hernandez. Matthew Chichowski. Thomas Kuhn. Henry Mantilla. Wendon Davis. Augustine Prado. Sandra Quintanilla. Melody Thompson. David Sterling Kern. Lionel Cruz. Violetta Kotrova. Gemma Kane. Hannah Remington. Dasha Larios. Deborah Vargas. Patricia Esquivel. Orlando Nava. Adriana Michelle Davalos. Dylan Smith. Travis King. Ian Ireland. Carla Frosto. Carissa Uris. Roger Castellon. Christian Gabriel Indicio. Marcus Eusebio. Ramon Smith. Joseph Cruz. Claudia Rosas. Abby Ibarra. Myra Orduna Castro. Brandon Paul Capiro. Stephanie Horry. Sandy Cahill. Momoka Nakamura. Elizabeth Garcia. Kevin Huen. Taylor Patterson. Madison Evison. Lisa Massey. Brenda Roman. Brianna Gallardo. Pebbles Quijano. Kenya Vilca. Ashley Barajas. A.B. Blanchett. Kendall Smith. Vita Mackenzie Purdue. Jennifer Pamela Meza. Natalie Ramirez. Samantha Vasquez. Myra Alejandra Lopez. Brandon Gibson. Hillary Carrion. Ryan Cañete. Ariel Bermudez. Tiffany Eleanor Ziri. Andrew Anderson. Andre Anderson. Neville Madon. Tyshell Standard. Daniel Song. Yuma Tumata. Leah Weil.
Kachig Mardurosian. Naz Amir Sadezi. Malika Sadeghi. Murnaz Farnoosh. Jonathan Vidito. Joe Michael Manzo. Jose Orlando Aguilar Jr. Jose Maria Sandoval. Walma Leonidas. Cynthia Canterbury. Ruth Ann Killian. Brianne Ingram. Cassandra Peck. Deborah Hemmerly. Lauren Gincala. Iris Vazio. Taylor Colwell. Olivia Wilbur Caswell. Ryan O'Donoghue. Jihai Lee. Kiara Eve Mata. Alexander Koo. Alexandra Craig. Pamela Nicole Klein. Tara Monteverri. Jesus Salazar. Caitlin Christensen. Erin Cullen. Michelle Fena Cherdak. Melissa Unda. Ryan Wilson. Laura Georgia. Leah Cohen. Elizabeth Sanchez. Yasmin Mohajer. Cindy Ritana. Jessica Stewart. Andrew Zamer Juarez. Jordan Ziv. Fernando Antonio Martinez. David Guzman. Diana Takahara. Aria Yesane. Alyssa Rose Fernandez. Erica Alarcon. Sarah Gallegos. Carly Ann Franco. Vanessa Ashley Rodriguez. Tony Lynn Garcia. Stephen Castellanos. Andrew Castellanos. Almila Ogus. Drake Grayson Atley. Ashley Schindel. Marissa Maycott. Renee Denise. Shayon Bebuti. Ariel Gadushi. Noah Dan Kornbluth. Randolph Gracia. Sierra Dunn. Jennifer Neway. April Chalet Juarez. Jaretza Holt. Brian Kish. Tomakazu Tokuyama. Gerardo Arana. Daniel Zanuga. Nathan Trujillo. Enpeng Harlu. Claudia Itzel Madeline Chavez. Armin Joseph Beck. Thelma Chavez. Maria Menikiri. Arlen Zargarian.
Mohammed Al-Bahuth. Stephanie Eskander. Lester Sanchez Mayo. Vanessa Garner. Aaron Parks. Jessica Lee. Now reading the names for the Department of Music. Daniel Cunningham. Amanda Weinstein. Bethany Spielman. Giancarlo De Hoyos. Ethan Castro. Say it loud. Let's go. Congratulations. Javier Belenayo. Bo Etmad. 7, Aaron D. Bailey. Marlene Priscilla Martinez. Lucia Baron Rodriguez. Henry Alberto Castro Carrion. Nicholas Ospina. Jinji Duan. Miran Tabayani. Daniel Ramirez. Nicholas Kandalucky. Jonathan Vandapudi. Elijah Smalley. Parith Peak. Tracy Swearingen Jr. Elena Zook. Divya Reddy. Jennifer Cruza. Hillary Lauren Hernandez. Christy Jacobson. Joyce Ijoma Okeye. Victoria Zem. Adriana Hooper. Stephanie Reed. Joel Solis. Brandon Encinas. Jessica Lorraine Avalar. Yvonne Dantes. Laura Asenas. Ali Castor. Dahlia Rodriguez. Now reading the names for the Department of Art. Selmi Even. Ninar Nobirian. Gabriela Steiger. Brandon Noriesta. Zara Karegian. Alina Hayes. Daniela Barbani. Marzia Karimi. Ariel Adrina Marziagos. Curtis Taylor. Pablo Estrada. Kellen Barnaby King. Naomi Goodman. Lori Jane Gunito. Katie Papache. Krista Garcia. Jessica A. Martinez. Cristina Carrera Alcantar. Allison Dima Ilig. John Oropeza. Stephanie Garcia. Rachel Pedahara. Dysa Science. Sylvia Stoker. Blair Wilson. Allison Burton. Ashley Nicole Servine. Evan Jackson. Roselle Ina Trianias. Adam Vuong. Rodrigo Castillejo. Ben Thomas. Minye Liang.
It's Jarrett Holt.
Jarrett Holt. Marco Sandoval. Jonathan Kusagaya. Juliana Doichinov. Melissa Elizabeth Castro. Josephine Perez. Norris Deshay. Austin Lasauter. Spencer Foster. Jonathan Sandoval. Jasmine Orozco. Charles Deary. Armin Derma Derosian. Nicole Younce. Jen Alex Mitra. Kami Kalangian. Javier Gutierrez. Austin Bennett. Brizette Hurtado. Emily Asper. Sue Chong Wan. Stephanie Orozco. Zachara Luis. Samuel Garay. Alicia Jimenez. Guadalupe Ramos. John Gordillo. Angela Burnside. Jose Lara. Dominic Gimamava. Gavor Gregorian. Xavier Odin. Stephanie Paredes. Liliana Lira. Jaciel Vera. Catherine Ariate. Marvin Medrano.
Ariana Escanave. Clara Garcia. Sylvia Gomez. Christine Hiron. Kyle Johnson. Nayeli Ramirez. Charmaine Cison Castillo. Brittany Mayorga. Taryn Wallace. Janine Reynoso. Michelle Lee. Morgan Payton. Sunny Sachs. Kevin Olmos. Alyssa Asper. Anika Bonag. Sloan Stewart. Ivan Sanchez. Jesus Rocha. Ellen Serpa. Stacy Santian. Antranik Tavitian. Rit Pansiripong. Jocelyn Ramirez. Taylor Natalia Lopez. Morgan Kennel. Alexa Gatti. Mariana Gaspar. Emily Krebs. Courtney Newman. Tani Sugasawara. Kiara Hagen-Brenner. Taylor Harrell. Jody Wegner. Sarah Sherlach. Priscilla Bohre. Madison Lobo. Elizabeth Yetner. Kyle Owens. Joshua Davis. Alexander Paz. Justin Cruz del Rosario. Edwin Soria. Matthew Schutzner. Joshua Kamet. Amanda Walker. Lourdes Angelica Moon. Catherine Olguin. Gabriela Herrera. Ashley Martz. Moises Peña. Miguel Barrera. Katrina Louie. Linda Off. Coral Armour. Yesenia Gutierrez. Monique Diaz. Margaret Johnson. Yunwei Quinn. Cheyenne Summers. Michael Davenport. Miguel Angel Curio.
Chanapet Jarrett Ponksicle. Soon Mi Shin. Sini Park. Andres Perez. David Lee Campbell III. Drew Palacio. David Mayers. Gerald Stillman. DeAndre Doolin. Brian Amaya. Giselle Elsma. Jacob Hartunian. Jesus Paleo. Dustin De Los Santos. Flor Alfaro. Allison Leong. Chris Leong. Jaden Adams. Eleanor Miguel. Kayanne Miguel. Alyssa Kaiser. Ashley Reese. Ani Saryan. Ivan Francisco Perez. Pablo Dominguez. Karen Arias. Melissa Meza. Vivian Rodriguez. Cyrus Sean Esfende. Ivan Lepe. Adrian Kagampan. Sergio Avila. Devin Downey. Giancarlo Memege. Shane Simmons. Rishar Barbo. Sandra Rodriguez. Khalid Bitar. Guy Imberman. Dominic Soju. Brittany Silva. Mark Anthony Hernandez. Priscilla Vergara. Tamar Asalanian. Stephanie Bush. Sheila Carrillo. Harrison Pagliaruro. Nicole Munn. Jamie DeFalco. Lainey Hoolay. Justin Cooper.
Is it Tanya Moran? Yes.
Tanya Moran.
Mei Zhao.
Mei Zhao.
Okay. Umang Ko. Umang Ko.
Jessica Amankol. Oscar Villagomez. Michael McAllister. Tatiana Savchenko. Nadia Matis. Omar Cruz. Juan Andalon. Jose Santos. Amanda Jolly. Juana Martinez. Jenny Salinas. Andres Cabral Santa Maria. Joseph G. Gutierrez. Ashley Cody. Sarah Gaynor Lane. Stephanie Kathleen Morales. Evan Jones. Trevor Hankins. Tara Renee Corral. Guadalupe Moreno. David Levinson. Tyler Flugum. Brittany Singleton. Humberto Sanchez. Manuel Doradea. Billy Jordan Vasquez. Emily Hargraves. Rachel Apthorpe. Kayla Alvarez. Joseph Began.
Danielle Goking. Nicole Golding. Matthew McFarland. Jacob Kalish. Is it Tenny Harutunians? Yasemin Jafari Tarani. Keith Irvin Jasper Buenaventura. Now reading names for the Department of Music. Gabriel Swart. Yusun Han. Juhi Lim. Anzela Datadian. Joanna Ezrin Eschauer. Jiho. Shajian B. Zhuje Zhou. Yue Zhu. Michael Betancourt. Grant Bailey. Diego Patricio Pacheco. Brendan Ristow. Alec Christian Macklin. Alyssa Amber Peck. O'Shea Matthew Merjanian. Valerie Rose Wiley. Tomo Downs. Anna Peloso. Anna Marie Martone. Jamie Orlando. Masaji Ishagi. Martin Isagi. Danielle Louise Gonzalez Santos. Maheska Wad. Sarah Badano. Sophia Flowers. Brandon Joseph Wright. Abigail Asango. Wolfgang Finn. Lisbeth Sanchez. Rebecca Isela Ramirez. Audrey Yoder. Varan Toros Adami. Preston Nowakowski. Tyler Estabrook. Hassan Puramad. Nathan Nicholas. James Cole Binkley. Catherine Quisis. Kevin Sweet. Lauren Verdrinsky. Christina Gonzalez. Kaylin Meyer. Nasim Moataba. Wayne Lee. Wenpei Doris Wang. Yasha Youngness. Matthew Lewis.
Holloway.
Roger Holloway.
Okay.
Daniel Philip Hernandez. Cesar Alas.
Roldan.
Sandra Roldan.
Slovensky.
Ashley Slovensky. Ching Man Chung.
Abanesian.
Ani Avanesian. Haley Marie King.
Guzman.
Mason Guzman.
Broughton.
William Broughton.
Top.
Alberto Oroldo Ponce Franco.
Danielle.
Danielle King.
Marin.
Henry Marin.
Ruder.
Ryan Reuter.
McIntosh.
Miles McIntosh. Adam Marsh. Wesley Cole. Mitchell Beard.
Rudolph.
Christian Rudolph.
William Knowles. Nico Angliatera. Tamara Simmons. Nicholas Harper. Amcy Hernandez. Luke Savage. Austin Haverhill. Vienna Wynn. Jonah Maestri. Jacob Messig. Christian Reichley. Timothy Kreis. Luke Shreska. Ryan Dierico. Mauricio Guerrero Jr. Xavier Cabrera. Brandon Fancher. Jason Taylor. Nene. Tyler Commodi. Matthew Jamelli. Garrett Becker. Andrew Morgan. Mi Young Jo. La Ying Lam. Zhang Zhou. Yuan Suen. Ting Ting Tang.
Here you go. Last one. Come on through one more. Is this the last one?
Sunshine DaCosta Chapman.
Let's keep her going.
Sunshine DaCosta Chapman.
Okay.
So as we're waiting for the last folks to sit down, if you'll just give us about 5 more minutes, we'll be out of here. I know. Will all of the baccalaureate degree recipients please rise? In academic tradition, the student who has not yet earned a degree wears the tassel to the right of the mortarboard. When the degree is conferred, the scholar moves the tassel to the left and joins a select group of highly educated men and women. In recognition of your new status, will all recipients of the baccalaureate degree move the tassel to the left? Welcome to the alumni family of California State University, Northridge. And lastly, Mr. Michael Ruvo will now officially, briefly welcome you to the California State University Northridge Alumni Association.
Welcome, fellow alumni. 37 years ago, I walked across this stage, and I'd never believe I'd be back here again today. Congratulations. Stay in touch. Come back. Be connected with everyone at CSUN. It's an amazing place, and I congratulate you. Go forward. Dream. Never, never, never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ruvo. And now, graduates, I would add, go out into the world, accomplish great things, and come back and tell us what you've done. But I would also suggest help the students who come after you understand and appreciate the importance that they too can make in the world. To officially close the ceremony, I ask all of our students, faculty, and staff and alumni, please rise for the University Alma Mater. Hail to the Matadors. Under the musical direction of Professor Michael Mull and the Jazz A Band, and sung by Ali Castor and Dahlia Rodriguez. The alma mater is at the back of your commencement program, should you need to follow along with the words. After this is concluded, please remain seated at your seats until the platform party and faculty have recessed. I ask that all parents and guests please remain seated until the end of the recessional. Again, thank you all, congratulations, and once a Matador, always a Matador.